Welcome back to the team. Today we're going to learn how to make legit clouds in Photoshop. So last week we tried to make a beautiful piece of concept art with happy little clouds scattered across the sky. Did not work out so well for us. So I went out and learned some new techniques for making clouds in Photoshop, and I'm very happy to be able to share those with you guys today. Alright team, so this is the image we want to fill with a bunch of clouds here in Photoshop. But as you can see, if I'm just using a soft brush, even if I'm adjusting the opacity and the size of my brush and everything's good and happy, those aren't exactly realistic looking clouds. So we're going to delete this real fast, start over with a fresh scene, and the first step in adding legit clouds is to find a photo reference, a real picture of an actual cloud. So I have one of them here. And this is the cloud we're going to be cutting out, repasting, and even turning into a brush preset today in order to fill our ocean scene with a bunch of nice, real-looking clouds. So back over to our cloud, we're going to come into this scene, and the first step is to make a selection of our cloud. Now what will allow us to do this is if we come up to Select, down to Color Range, and we see this nice color range dialog box appear. We're going to get an eyedropper tool, and we want to select the white part of our cloud with this eyedropper tool. So you can select any color you want across your image, but what we want to cut out is the white of the cloud. So make sure you have that selected. Play around with the fuzziness until you get your whole cloud, but we don't want to have any of that gray background. Whatever is white in this image will be the part that we select. So let's have a nice balance, maybe right around there. Maybe that's a little much. Right around there would be nice. Beautiful. So I'm going to hit OK, and now we've made our selection. If we hit Control J, our selection will copy into a new layer, and with V we can move it around and see we've done a pretty good job. Not bad, not bad. I can see a little bit of the background traveling with us, but that's alright for the next step. Now that we have this layer, the next thing we want to do is turn this cloud into a brush preset that we can use later. And for the most part, we'll be using our new brush to really define the edges of the clouds we'll be creating. So in order to create a brush preset, we need a black cloud on a white background. So the white background's easy. We can create a new layer, drag it beneath the selection of our clouds, turn off the view of our original image, make sure we select the bucket tool, scroll through until the fill tool is active, and make sure this is a solid white down here for when we fill in our new layer. Beautiful. Now if we go back to our selection, what we want to do here is lock the transparency of this layer. By hitting that button right there, it'll lock only the transparency, which is the part we care about. Next we want to go over to our brush tool, and we're going to create a pretty large, hard brush all the way down. There you go. Set our opacity to 100 by hitting 0 on our keyboard with the brush tool selected, and then X to change our color to black, and we're going to blacken this layer. Nice, nice, nice. Now I do want to take this opportunity to go over with the erase tool and erase, not a soft one, let's do a hard erase tool, just the outmost edges. Be really careful to avoid your cloud. Don't get too close to your cloud if you're using a hard-edged brush, because you will start to see the differences. If you want to get really up close, you can lower the size and soften your brush, and that'll allow us to get even closer. So not bad, not bad, not bad. So this is the image which is about to become our brush. We're going to save this for now, and what we're going to do next is come up to Edit, Define Brush Preset, and we're just going to name it cloud.psd. Nice. Now that we've made our cloud brush, we can come back down to our original image and start pasting clouds across the sky. Look at that. Beautiful. Now if you want your clouds to layer even nicer, you can put them on separate layers and use blend modes such as screen to help them layer even nicer against each other. Let's delete these clouds for now. And we're going to come back to our ocean image. Now the first thing I want to do, because our ocean image is such a higher resolution than our cloud image was, is to raise the size of my cloud brush. Because we're working with something as wispy as a cloud, it shouldn't hurt the look of our cloud brush hardly at all. Now we have to start layering the clouds. Now we've cut out a pretty interesting cloud. There's a big old hole in the middle of ours because it's important when making your color selection to select the white of the cloud. If you're working with an image like this, you want to make sure that you're just a little bit extra careful when layering your clouds together. So let's come in, paste some clouds. Let's make a bigger cloud up here. We can work on that layering. Undo that one. That's not bad. A nice big fluffy cloud. Alright. Now if we want to bring this one in together a little bit more, alright. I'm going to shrink it down so I can get rid of the repetitiveness of this upper section here. Okay, so let's say we've already created a splotchy cloud, say with the soft brush. We can come over here, select a soft brush as an example, and start creating a cloud with that. Maybe, let's say right above the ocean. So if this was our cloud, we could come down here with our cloud brush. What we could do is come back with our cloud brush to refine the edges of it. So I'm just tapping along, dragging a little bit, but mostly just tapping. Dragging gets you that really solid look. You don't want that for a cloud. So just tap. Now we don't have a lot of detail in the middle of this cloud, so what we can do is select a nice light color that's around our cloud and come into the center and just make a bunch of little details. Once we have what we want, we can come back. I'm going to lower the opacity of my brush down to 50. There you go, about 50. And raise it a little bit up. We're going to select white again and paint back over all this detail. Again, I'm tapping my brush, not dragging it. And look at that. Just like that, we have a nice detailed cloud. Not so far outside. Alright guys, let's fill in these clouds a little bit more, and then I think we'll be able to call it a day. I'm actually going to leave the back one open. I like the back one open. We'll fill in the front one a little bit more. A little bit more poofiness here. This is at 50% opacity, so you can do a lot. There we go. Just touching up some various areas. And there you go. There's our realistic clouds. I think this one is actually my favorite if I had to pick out one of them. But this guy's doing pretty well up here as well. But there's some different ideas for you guys to try out if you're trying to make more legit looking clouds. The most important thing is to start with a reference, select out that real cloud using the select color range. Once you've made your selection, you can turn it black and define a brush preset here. That'll give you your very own cloud brush. Use whatever reference picture you want. Once you have your brush, it's kind of all in your hands. Make whatever kind of clouds you want to make. Thank you so much for joining me today for another teamTALIMA tutorial. I hope you enjoyed watching and I hope you learned something awesome. See you again next week with some more techie tutorials.